Good afternoon, this is Henry Steinberger, Innovation Specialist for BASF out here on the AgriMAX tours, going through our Credenz lineup of soybeans. So we introduced Credenz a couple of years ago with BASF with the purchase that came across from Bayer, and a lot of exciting stuff. So the Credenz lineup up here is enabled with Liberty and glyphosate for our key weed control options. Down in South Dakota, southern Minnesota, we got some other options with the elite herbicide. So, but up here with the pHs of our soil, we avoid that chemistry up here. But the good thing is with Liberty, that's doing a lot of the heavy lifting. Really works good in rotation up here. We've got a lot of sugar beets in this rotation, saving the Roundup there. So the Liberty is an excellent option, and it controls all those resistant weeds that we have. So right here, 0419, really like this variety. Nice thing with this, it covers a lot of acres. It's a little bit shorter, so in general, we've had pretty good field tolerance on the white mold for this one. It rockets out of the ground, so that works really well out west where maybe we got some no-till situations, and in the cold clays that we have here in the Red River Valley. Big thing with the 0419s, it sets a lot of pods. So it's a little bit bushier bean, but our branches have a lot of pods. So something that's unique here, a lot of these branches, there's 2 and 3 pods on the nodes. A lot of the other beans, maybe you only set 1 pod. So here we got 2, we got 2, we got 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. So there's just a lot of nodes. And then on the main stem, another thing I like about this, we're setting 3 or 4 pods, but it's stacked really tight. So we're only 1.5 inches to 2 inches between the nodes on these 0419. So this plant here, just over 100 pods. So I've walked through a lot of plots, saw this last year also. So the big thing with this bean, 0419s, it absolutely yields. So the highest yielding, and in fact in this plot here at Fisher last year, and just across the locations with AgriMAX in this maturity group, it ended up #1. And the guys at AgriMAX did sell quite a few units of this and look for really good results out of the 0419s on the Credenz lineup. Got a bean here that we introduced a couple of years ago, the 0729 under the Credenz lineup. This is enabled with the Liberty and the glyphosate for the trait package. Thing I like about this bean is it's defensive. So you got the toughest ground around, whether it's salty or IDC, the 0729s work really well in that ground. It's a very like I said, it's a very tall bean, a little bit farther between the internodes, but it still sets a lot of pods, and it will top cluster and set a lot of pods later in the season. So this one here, we were about 50-55 pods. It runs about 102% of the plot average of means in general. It will come north up to about this Highway 2 corridor. Other than that, I like to keep it down towards Hillsboro, a little bit further south on that toughest ground. So really good fit with the Liberty and the glyphosate for the weed control. One watch out with this, it's got a little more potential for getting white mold. So with that taller plant, so keep that in consideration if you go with narrower rows. So space it out, drop your population to 150,000, and it'll be a good fit in that tough ground. Out here, I just want to introduce the growers to a new variety. This is 0661. This is enabled with Liberty and glyphosate, so a new release on the LLGT27 side of things. It's the only variety that we're releasing in that trait platform this year for new ones in this early maturity. The reason we are doing that is because of the yield potential out of this variety. It is 107.5% of mean, so that's a huge bump in that maturity group. So it's 4.5 bushel better, so it's a real step change. Things I like about this, it's field tolerance on Phytophthora. It's a disease package that it's got in general. The general plant health is tremendous on this one. Pretty tolerant on the white mold side of things, but look for really big yields out of this on the plots here this year, and look forward to getting that information to you. I want to introduce you to a variety that we released last year, 0590. Now this is a very offensive variety. So for this one, I like to get this outside of the valley, up into that lighter, the loamier ground. It's a relatively tall, more of a stick bean. Things I want to point out here are how tight the nodes are in this bean. So we got 3 really large pods set up. Our seed size is pretty advanced. They're going to be 2,600 type of seed count, so really nice size, but absolutely stacked. Handles the stress really well. That's another reason we like to push this into that lighter ground, the ground that might get droughted out a little bit easier. It does have a good disease package though for the Phytophthora root rot too. So good bean in high yield environment in the lighter ground. I'd like to introduce you all to 0309s in the LLGT platform. So we took a look at 0419s. This is a really good companion product to that one. Just a little bit earlier on the maturity, it's a 0.3. This bean will branch out fairly well. It's in the high yield side of things for that early 0 germplasm. So thing I like here, like we saw in the 04s, a lot of these branches had two pods on it. So we got 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2 versus the 1 that you see in a lot of beans that branch out. So other thing I like here, the nodes are stacked extremely tight. We're only 1.5 inches or so, 1.25 inches between these lower nodes. As the plant gets a little bit taller, we start to stretch out a little bit more. So 0309s, good disease package, fits a lot of ground very, very well. But we pushed this one earlier than the 04s. So a good fit, good introduction for your farm.